Hello, everybody. My name is Lonnie Rosales. I am the Chief Operating Officer at the American Genius, and we got a countdown timer. Yay! So that way, when you get the notification that everything's starting, you can go grab your weird drink, which I'm dying to know what everybody's drinking tonight because if you watched last week, you know that alcohol Mountain Dew is a thing. And I know some of you ding dongs are trying to hunt it down because apparently you cannot get it in Texas yet, which how could you not get it in Texas yet? That's so weird, right? I think it's weird. But for some quick housekeeping, there will still be coughing. So you'll probably hear me mute myself and then, like, maybe even put on the we'll be right back graphic because we got COVID in January and I'm still complaining about it. So that's still going down. But I'd love to know what you're drinking. See? The coughing's starting on cue. We have a lot of people watching from the embed tonight on our website, theamericangenius.com. If you want to be social and go say weird things in chat, you can find us on Twitch at twitch.com/theamericangenius, which is this. That's us. Hello. Or you can find us on Facebook, just facebook.com/theamericangenius. And then there's a live stream and you can just go on and be like, boop, boop, weird stuff. That's just how it works. That's the science. But I'd love to know what y'all are drinking. If this is your first time joining, thank you so much for coming out tonight. It's a Thursday night. We also have to work tomorrow or whatever, supposedly. I'm working, right? My boss is watching. I'm working. I'm going to work tomorrow, I promise. Um, if you say clever stuff in comments and it's not too offensive, we might actually put it on the screen. Like here's one that I made so I can show you what it looks like. Time to clown. That's me. I typed that with my fingers. And yes, for those asking, this is what the mug says. There's hot tea in it because, like I said, I'm still complaining about COVID from back in January when one of you ding dongs gave it to us from going to Bash. Hey, is anybody going to South by Southwest? Have you already been to some? I know a lot of people have been doing the South by Southwest EDU, which is the education portion, which is like edutech and education and advocacy and stuff. Some music has already started. Apparently, SZA's already in town tonight and performing. I don't know if that's officially part of South by or not. I don't. It used to be y'all. It used to be like actually segmented out. Now South by begins in March and ends in April. Who knows? It doesn't sound like anybody has been able to hunt down the beloved alcohol Mountain Dew. And if you missed us last week, here's what happened. Mountain Dew did this big weird ad campaign and it was like kind of vaguely sexual, but it was like party with old people in Florida and get wasted on hard Mountain Dew. And the ad had like older people that had like weird like added on stuff like sunglasses that were obviously not part of the picture and like pop-ups nipples were kind of orange. Just the whole thing was weird. It was just very weird. So we all kind of joked that we would go get it. But turns out a lot of us, we're headquartered in Austin and a lot of people were trying to find it in Austin. Turns out you can't get it. You could probably order it somehow. I don't know. I'm also drinking this. It's in a fancy hardball glass because I'm like so classy, you guys. So welcome to the show. If you have any problems with the stream you're on, sometimes Facebook is kind of screwy. You can always find us on Twitch. Yeah, it was weird. The ad was just like they paid to have that ad done, and I think it was supposed to be obviously messed up, but it was just terrible. It was just bad. All of it was so bad. And does anybody else have a hard time calling it hard Mountain Dew? Like that feels awkward to say. I know we say it for other stuff, but it just feels like spiked Mountain Dew would be better but like, I don't know. This is what it makes my face do. Just, I don't know. I have no idea. But a lot is going on. I'm not going to talk about the Murdaugh trial this time, even though the jurors are talking and so are the lawyers and etc. But we have a lot to talk about. We're going to talk about ChatGPT. Are you surprised? We're going to talk about some really wild patents that are just been filed. We're going to talk about that Wall Street lawsuit against Wall Street Bets lawsuit against Reddit. And we're going to talk about money because the Federal Reserve Chair, Jerome Powell, made some statements. And y'all Y'all need to know if you're going to have money next week or not. Is the economy going to collapse? Probably. We'll see. I don't know. But before we get into all that, we got to do the intro. So I'm allowed to cuss because I can't cuss before then. Just like that's the rule. Welcome to AG Live. I'm your host, Lonnie Rosales, Chief Operating Officer at the American Genius News Network, reaching entrepreneurs, startups, real estate pros, plus other job creators and job seekers alike, all with a nerdy tech flair. Let your hair down. We're allowed to cuss. Let's do this. We're allowed to cuss. That was my voice. Thank you, Jetty. Jetty, what's the weather going on? What's going on up there? Jetty, you're up in Ithaca. I know it's probably cold there, question mark. In my mind, anything like north of Dallas is like snowy 10 months a year because I have no concept of other. Look, my brain's only so big, you guys. You think I have the biggest, but it's actually quite smooth, except for when it comes to news. I'm very wrinkly brain about news. And cold and suffering. That's Jetty, that's really sad. Cold and suffering. Excuse me. Okay, first I'm clicking a bunch of stuff. Sorry. My fingers are getting real excited because I had half of a hot tea and there's caffeine in it and I'm jacked. So, there is this great story on theamericangenius.com talking really in depth about this. And I'm not going to go as in depth because I want you to use your eyeballs and read it. Or if you are using a reader and you are visually impaired, I want you to listen to it. Whatever makes it get into your brain. But yeah, ChatGPT has kind of taken over the resume world because some ding dong on TikToks, 30 degrees? Yeah, but that's because it's not windy. Like it's that windy wet that I just saw like myself out of the corner of my eye go, I should not do that. That's gross. Okay, so this is what's happening. There is this gal. She's a digital marketing expert. Okay. And she does have 90,000 followers. So I guess that makes her an expert. I don't know why I'm hating on her. She's probably great, but like I hate when people call themselves experts. Now y'all are going to go find bios where it says that I'm an expert in like anything. And I'm an expert in everything. Shut up. You don't know. But she went on TikTok and she said that she has a great idea and she thinks that viewers should go charge people to have their resumes rewritten, but don't tell them they're using ChatGPT. For those of you that are unaware of ChatGPT, you can Google it, but it is this thing, an expert at classifying experts. That's my expertise. I can tell you whether you're an expert or not. They say that if you've done something for 10,000 hours, you technically have expertise in that. And I can tell you, I've breathed for over 10,000 hours. And there are times that I'm like, oh shit, you haven't breathed in a while. You need to breathe. So even that, like, I can't tell you how it all works just because I've done it for 10,000 hours. I know it goes in and out. I know that when you meditate, you do breath work or whatever. I meditate every day. For those of you who are not starting your day with meditation, let me just tell you this. Shout out to all the meditators because meditating has really helped my brain to function better. And we have offices at home, have for a long time since before it was cool. And that's one of the ways that I start my day so that I, breakfast, coffee, whatever, do all the things and then have a separation. And I sit down on my desk and I don't turn my screen on until I do it. And also, I'll tell you on a personal note, I am piggybacking that with another habit, which is during Lent, which is observed by many different types of people of Christian faith. During Lent, I'm actually doing the daily reading and then the gospel and like reading all of it, but also before turning on my screen, which that is hard, you guys. Like for some reason, it's easy to meditate because I can just sit there and like zone out. But by the time it's done, I'm ready to work because my brain's clear. I'm ready. So that's been a hard adaptation for Lent. So if you observe Lent, give that a try before you start work. Like either meditate or do like some sort of reading before you get started. it can sure get some of the cobwebs out. If you observe a different faith, like whatever it is, or if science is your faith, like read some science for a minute before work. I don't know. Do y'all remember Nacho Libre when he was saying, "We do only believe in science," and that's why they never win the wrestling matches? That's true. Okay, back to AI. So ChatGPT is yes, it is. So ChatGPT is it's basically a prompt engine. And what you can do is you can tell the robot, hey, tell me everything about Austin, Texas. And it'll give you a summary of like the standard things people talk about online because it's reading the internets and regurgitating it to you. But then the interesting part is you can go in and say, tell me everything about Austin in under 400 words and make it sassy. And it'll repeat that back to you. I will tell you, by the way, I have not found the results to be as high quality as some of the other options. So I don't know why ChatGPT is kind of like the Lord and Savior. Have you accepted that Lord and Savior ChatGPT? Because you're going to hell if you don't. I don't know what that hell looks like. It might actually be quite heavenly, but ChatGPT is okay, but it seems to be the torchbearer right now. And you give it different prompts. You can tell it, write me an outline for a blog post. You can say, it can do coding. I don't know how well, but it can do a lot of these things. I found it to have some pretty severe inaccuracies. I asked it to tell me about Monkey Island, which is on Lake Travis. And I was having a really hard time finding good information. And so I was wondering if maybe there was like, apparently it's not just called Monkey Island. Like other people call it Snake Island. I didn't know that. And so like I kind of went down this rabbit hole of information, right? And the information that it gave me was totally wrong. It was not even anything I could find anywhere else online. So I don't know what they've modeled it on. But anyways, this ding dong is on TikTok telling her 90,000 followers, I'm a marketing expert. I'm telling you how to make money. Tell people that you can do resume writing, get their current resume, and just put it in Chat GPT, do it 3 times and give them 3 different versions and charge them $100 or whatever. What? I get I get that that's an option and capitalism, baby, but that feels really unethical to me. And I like robot stuff. Y'all know I'm interested in robot stuff. I love all of it. I especially AI art. Please don't tell my dad because I sent him an app the other day. My dad's an artist. He's been an artist since the 1800s or whatever. And I sent him an app that I thought he would like that was just kind of an iPad app for drawing and it has infinite it's called oh shoot, it's called something paper. Eternal paper? Something paper. Anyways, you can zoom in. It's infinite zoom. So you can draw a drawing and then zoom in and draw a smaller drawing within it and then zoom in and draw a smaller drawing. And it just, there's no end to it. And he said that apps like that stole his job. So I've never heard him talk like that before. So anyway, y'all don't tell my dad I'm like obsessed with Midjourney because now I'm really worried that he's going to not allow me to exist anymore. Maybe. But what do y'all think? I mean, do you think it's okay to charge people for you just plugging something into ChatGPT and maybe yielding results? You don't even know if they're good results. That's the problem with using tools like that. If it's not already your area of expertise, you don't know if you're giving somebody a good product. So, for example, we've not run into this yet, but I've seen it enough to where if a staff writer sent in an assignment, one of our news stories, I would be able to tell if it was ChatGPT. Like I've read it enough to where I can read. There's not a standard formula, but it doesn't sound quite right. I can't really pinpoint what it is, but I think that's kind of bullshit to charge people for that. If you want to hear the whole story and go find out who that ding dong is and tell her she's a ding dong, don't do that. That's not very nice. Keep it to yourself. But think in your head, oh yeah, like that lady's a ding dong. You can read about it on The American Genius. But yeah, I have a really hard time with that. I just feel like that's super unethical. Also, just kind of, it feels like, come here, it feels like one of those things that like high schoolers would come up with and be like, oh yeah, here's a great way to make money. Just have the robots do your homework. Okay, good luck with that. But I also think you'll end up having like, especially in like business school, you'll have like people saying, we'll do this project for you, but they're just going to put it into Chat GPT. So, point is, if you're paying somebody to do a service that involves any sort of writing or any sort of like creativity right now, you have to be sure that you have your expectations set of like what you're looking for, and maybe ask them, what is your policy on using artificial intelligence tools? And these ding dongs probably wouldn't tell you. They'd just be like, I don't know what that is. Take your money and run. Who knows? I hate it. Thanks. I hate it. I hope you hate it too, because I hate it. Next topic. Lonnie, you're so right. Thanks. I know. Everybody say something nice in chat so my boss thinks I'm doing a good job. Okay, next up, we're going to talk about something that changed on a federal level recently. And I want to make sure that you're aware of it as an employer or an employee. This is important to both. And this is another story on The American Genius. It is by April Bingham, who is one of the spiciest writers we've ever had. She's hilarious. So it doesn't matter what it is. If you read it, you're going to be like, oh, that was funny and informative. And so she wrote about the new rule against non-disparagement clauses in severance. And there's a pretty picture. Go read the full story. Oh no, there's my dumb face again and again. So she outlines all of it here and talks about some of the resources that are available. But what's really important for you to know is if you are laying people off, or if you could potentially be laid off. So depending on where you are on the spectrum, it is now not okay federally. The NLRB ruled against it that companies cannot put a non-disparagement clause as part of severance, which means they can't say, hey, we're going to give you this money, but you can't say shit about us online. And that's kind of how they get everybody to be quiet, right? Is just, and a lot of us have done that. We've taken the severance and been like, well, I'd rather have the money than tell everybody else because you just laid me off and money is nice. But because it is a federal rule, it's not something you want to play with. So if you are an employer, please know that you cannot put that in the clauses for severance anymore. Now, I'd love to know what you think, because I think this is going to change things. But what's interesting about this is people that have been laid off can now suddenly say what they want if it's true. Now, I'm not a lawyer, so go talk to your lawyer if you're going to do dumb stuff. But you can go, if you've been laid off, you can go be honest on Glassdoor now without worrying that they can claw back your severance or sue you for it. If it is not true, you are in trouble and you can be sued. So I think as long as you're, and this is my personal opinion, not legal advice, but as long as you are being honest, it's now allowed and they can't take your severance back. If you're an employer, this also means that you need to watch your Glassdoor ratings, your employer ratings, things being said about you in public a little bit more closely, and maybe have some sort of crisis management in place already. Do some drills with your PR team. If you don't have one, try it with your Marcom team. How would you react? And maybe have some scripts ready. You know what your problems are. Let's be honest. You're going to be like, no, this is perfect. Well, has anybody ever quit your company before? Why did they quit? That's your problem. So even if it's just money, maybe you're a great employer, but you just don't pay as well, or you underpay. That may be something they say in public, and you need to be prepared for that because you can't take back that severance pay anymore. But I will be enthusiastically watching to see if this impacts severance packages. Do you think the amounts will go up or will they go down? Because I can see a case for both. Theoretically, severance amounts could go up to sweeten the pot, to kind of kiss ass and be like, hey, don't forget, like, we're really good. Or they could go down because if you can say whatever you want, then a lot of the reason for that severance has cooled anyways. Because severance used to be, we're firing you. Oh no, that's bad. Here you go. But severance has become, hey, we're firing you and social media exists. You got to shut up. So things are changing. I'll be really interested to know if that goes way up or if that goes way down. And we will be keeping our eye on that for you. You know why? Because we care. We care. We care so much. Why am I doing this with my hand and my head? I don't know. But I wanted y'all to know about that because whether you're an employer or an employee, this was a big change and it's been a long time coming. A long time coming. I did not think this was actually going to be ruled against. So I was really surprised when it happened. Um, but it has happened. So now you know. I'm drinking tea. That's hot. Okay. I want to talk to y'all about some new cool stuff that's going on. We do a lot of watching of patent applications. We have so many alerts set up, you don't even know. Um, but what's interesting is what's going on is um, there are a couple things that are changing. And I wanted to tell y'all about one that was kind of neat. Lego applied for this neat application for a patent, which is a dedication to their building out in the metaverse. It's really interesting. And the reason we're following this one is because it is a way to show how a physical product can exist in the metaverse. How can a physical product still continue to make money if everything goes virtual, including physical products? Like you can see how Lego would be something that would pretty easily be just done in the metaverse and you stack and do whatever, especially when you can run mods and have like, instead of Legos, it can be waffles, or instead of waffles, you can run a mod and it can be Shrek's beautiful body. Like, who knows? But they filed for a patent creating a virtual game environment and interactive game system, which doesn't sound like much, but here's what's interesting. In that filing, they detailed the gaming platform for kids where users can scan their toys using a smartphone and get a 3D representation of it. So if that is the only way you can build with Legos in the metaverse, that's pretty smart because you still have to buy the effing Legos and then probably step on them. But that's the only way that they can create a virtual toy construction model, which, okay, so now we're getting a little bit more exciting with it. It's not just like Legos invented modular stuff in the metaverse. Who cares? So, depending on how the toy that's been scanned, different types of preset games would be offered. So, theoretically, you could like scan a farmer figurine, and now you have a virtual farming landscape that pulls up where you could grow Lego crops or tend to like Lego farm animals. How cool would that be? Or if it's one of the race cars, or let's say it's Hogwarts, theoretically, it could pull up a Hogwarts environment, which I know in gaming, I'm not allowed to talk about Hogwarts, so I'll move on. Um, Here's what they said in their application, quote, a close link between the physical world and a virtual gameplay stimulating the interactive involvement of the user, and in particular, stimulating the development of different skills by children's game playing is still missing. So they're still concerned about learning, which I love Lego. Lego is just such a great, Lego's just such a great, that's it. They're just such a great. So it's a really interesting look at how a tangible brand can break into the metaverse and still make money on that tangible brand. I think that's pretty cool. What else is going on in the patent world? You guys, there are so many other cool things. For example, Snap filed for a patent. Have y'all heard about this? They filed for a patent for tech that allows, if you're using their AR glasses, to see objects in each other's homes by establishing them as personalized anchor points. So, what? I don't know about that one. I'm sure it's like, okay, I have set up this anchor point, this lamp. Who knows? But anyways, wearing AR, you can see objects in each other's homes by personalized anchor points. And that sounds scary as fuck. So I'm not super sure about that. But what else is going on? Baidu filed for automating the office. They want to patent the intelligent office system. That sounds fancier than it is. They just want to manage assignments. So it creates, organizes, and stores work cards for different work tasks based on task progress and information as a way to organize complex work environments, which how they can patent that, I have no idea. This has just been a patent application. It has not been an approval, but I find that really interesting. That sounds like Trello or Notion or Google Drive or like any number of things. So I don't really know how they can, I mean, how y'all think they can patent that? I don't know. That's weird, right? That's weird, right? Okay, before I tell you about another patent, I want to let you know that if you're in Austin, we have the Big Ass Social Happy Hour, and that is the QR code for it right there. And it's after South by's over and you've had a nap. And that is a tech networking event that we would love to meet you at. It's free to attend. And it's at the Brutorium, which has my favorite beer, which is a Flamingo Bomb or the Atomic Flamingo Bomb. But you can't have as many of those because they're like 9%. And you got to drive home, some of you. Wait, I should leave that up there for you. But guess what? There is also other stuff going on in the patent world. Would you like to hear about some of the other cool shit going on in patents? Now, again, these are just patents that have been filed. They've not been granted. And so don't get too excited about them or anything. But I think it's pretty cool to know kind of what's coming down the pike, like way down the line. But I will say I'm not a big fan of the USPTO Patent and Trade Office, USPTO, because I still think even with a lot of the changes that have been made, especially under Obama, that was supposed to improve it, it still is just too easy to file for something really broad and get a patent and then patent troll. So patent trolling has not gone away or been fixed even by all of the regulations that have shifted. So on the USPTO. I'm pretty sure they don't even read them. They're just like, all right, yeah, give them a 6-month waiting period. They can have it later. Hey, Steve Jobs, Apple wants to be your doctor. You already got their Apple on your phone, which just kidding, we have Android because all hail Google. And you have Apple on your wrist, which just kidding, all hail Google. You have all these things already, and now they want to be in your blood. Steve Jobs ghost in your blood? What? They have filed a patent for an ambulatory blood pressure cuff. I know you thought it was going to be more exciting than that, but allowing you to move around while you're wearing it, which anybody who has their blood pressure taken regularly with the cuff knows that you have to like sit still before you can even have your blood pressure taken, and you have to bring it down just by time of sitting before you can even take it. So that's pretty interesting. I don't know why they're trying to get into all this medical stuff. This is not the only thing they're doing, but Apple said that it allowed the device to monitor for longer periods of time, and it doesn't have to squeeze as hard, it says. I'm not sure. Not super sure. But it says it adjusts to the user's movement. So that's pretty hopeful if that's true. But the filing said determining an accurate blood pressure typically requires a person to assume a particular posture, position, or other conditions that are intrusive and disruptive. So they've said they're trying to do that. This is not their first time to try to get a patent on a blood pressure monitor. They filed several patents for their pulse oximeters and the Apple Watches, but they also recently lost a legal battle with Masimo. It's a medical tech company for infringing on its patents for blood pressure devices. So I guess their response was, well, we'll patent this other thing that's kind of like it. So they are firmly, what this tells us is that they are firmly footed in health and wellness, and they intend on their devices to do more of that and build out more of that technology. They're calling it a natural extension of their current product offerings. So that's interesting. They don't think it will end up looking like an actual blood pressure cuff. I'm sure it'll be something neato, like a Nazi armband or something. That's not neato, but I'm just sure it'll be something dumb. So what else is going on? Here are some quick ones. Meta is going to do an ad supercharge. Here's how it works. As if you had not told Meta enough about yourself, here's how this works. So they filed for a patent for this technology that modifies how it displays ads based on the target user. Of course, it's all anonymized, blah, 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 whatever. But they're hyper-personalizing the digital ad tech, which I guess we kind of thought they already did, but they're advancing it. So here's how it works. It takes in data about you, such as the type of the device you're using and then the kinds of content that you consume regularly. So maybe you prefer videos over photos. Maybe you prefer text over video. So then the tech will modify the type of ad that you see when it's placed and how many ads you see. So basically, different people will see different ads for the same thing based on how they consume content. And it sounds like I read through the patent. It's really It's really fucking boring, you guys. So the patent itself is boring sounding, but it sounds like it will be served up based on photo, video, or text, and your leaned preference to that. So they say in their filing that the system addresses a problem in a traditional content modification technique tied to computer technology, namely the technical problem of not all users being affected in the same way by the same ad. Well, duh. Okay. So it doesn't sound that interesting, but it is one more way for them to desperately try to make more ad dollars because they are suffering right now. So is Twitter. Social media spending is dramatically down, and I'm not sad about that. So what else? Y'all, there are a couple other patents I want to tell you about. I'm really excited about. One is Jeff Bezos, which have y'all noticed people are saying Bezos? What the fuck with that? What is up with that? Yeah, you do. You didn't win. You got actually you don't nobody has to wear whatever to this show. I'm the only one that is required, and I even showered because I'm a professional. But listen, y'all, there's a patent filing by Amazon by Jeff Bezos. Bezos. Have y'all heard? People are saying Jeff Bezos. Why is that happening? I don't know. So they really, really, really want to dominate the smart home device race. All hail Google. All the Googles listening, you're going to win, but Amazon really wants to compete. So they've put in a patent for speech recognition tech which modifies its output based on detecting a speech characteristic of the user input. So, if you sound mad when you are requesting something, it may not be as sassy as normal. Maybe it'll draw that back a little bit. Who knows? But yeah, Jeff Bezos, they just really care about us, you guys. Like they just really care. Have y'all seen that? Ben and I were talking about it this morning and actually the past couple days. Do y'all remember that South Park episode from like the mid 2000s where there was the BP oil spill and they came out, and this was a South Park episode, but the executives did these campaigns and they were like, we care. We care. And that's just kind of what I think of when I hear of some of these patents. Like they want the AI to sound intelligent, and I get that, but it all feels a whole lot like, buy our technology. We care. Also, y'all, Sony filed a patent for a device for fire detection. They want to be your fire alarm, I guess. I don't really get why, but it detects both present danger and risk of fire hazards. It's pretty vague, and I got really bored reading it, so I can't tell you everything about it. But Sony wants to be your fire alarm, and I think that's weird. I think that's weird. But also, one more I'll tell you about is Spotify filed for a patent that I think is actually pretty cool. They filed for a patent for a wind noise suppressor. So it suppresses wind noise. Did you guess that? Did you guess that's what it does? It processes the wind noise through your microphone and then does the audio reconstruct and blocks out the noise. I don't know how they really file for that because I feel like a lot of our phones already do that and everything else because I don't think they're. It sounds like they're blocking it for music purposes. I don't really have a problem with it in the music in my microphone, but maybe I'm supposed to sing along with it. I'm probably missing something there, but I don't know. All the wind noise. Wind suppression. Spotify's not going to suppress you from winning, I promise. They're just going to suppress the wind noise. The wind noise. Okay, that's enough of that. That's enough. We won. Yep, we won. We win. That's enough of that. Okay. Do you want to hear about the Reddit drama? Because it's gotten really spicy, and I might have an opinion that differs from most of what we've seen so far. Big surprise there. Okay, the lawyers are all lined up. They all got their fancy suits on. Which JK, I don't know how many lawyers you've ever had to have, but back in lawyers, if you ever go to a courthouse, 90% of them dress like shit. Like their suits are never fitted properly. Like in our minds, we think of like all these fancy lawyer people because that's who we see on TV, but like the people in the field, like especially in like local courts, they have the jankiest outfits ever. Ben actually during family court years ago when there was we were trying to do custody stuff for my stepkids. He actually bought his attorney a suit and said, "This is what you wear," 'cause it was so bad. They're so bad. So, anyways, the attorneys are all lined up. They want to do the stuff and the things. Ooh, I almost clicked the wrong button, and that would have been so bad. I would have ended the stream, and you would have been sad, and you wouldn't have known what was going on. But you can read about it, all about it, on the most amazing news site in the world. That was on Key, right? Pitch on Pitch. Is it Pitch or Key? That's how much I don't know. Um, Anyways, read the full thing. I would invite you to do that. It is on theamericangenes.com. Another April banger. But listen, this whole thing is kind of wild. And I want to tell you about it, but I want to also paint a picture because part of the context is the American Genius has several online communities on different platforms. You're probably watching from one now. Many of you tonight are watching from our embedded stream on the website. And thank you for that, by the way, because then we get the traffic and yay, that's neat. But you also can't comment. So hit us up on Twitch if you want to do that, or Facebook or LinkedIn or Twitter. And through all these different streams, we've built different communities. Now, we have long said that if you build a community somewhere else and it's not on your own URL with an understanding web host that may like what you're doing, you can lose it all like in a heartbeat, and you have to follow their rules. And if you're on Facebook, you follow different rules every day because they fucking change them all the time and they don't tell you, and it's weird enforcement and all their UX is inconsistent. I hate it, but we have to be there. And I know that a lot of you are only on Facebook because you want to be in ADJ, Austin Digital Jobs, which is one of our communities. And I'm sorry. It's just the way it is. But, for those of you watching, I will tell you, and my boss does not know this yet, so he's going to hear it here first. Everybody's going to hear it here first, live from my brain, which is we are probably going to do just a tiny little secret Discord for ADJ that's just like shenanigans. Just like, and then we'll just like shut it down here and there. But we did try the Facebook. Have y'all tried the Facebook chat function on the groups yet? You go in and you do it and you have this chat and anybody that's invited or in the group can join it. The only way to shut it down is to delete it from ever having existed, which to me is like terrible for record keeping. Anybody who knows me knows that like if shit goes down, I take screenshots. Like I pay money monthly for a screenshot service because I have to take that many screenshots. So I really don't like, I think some of y'all were there for the shenanigans, but we may do a tiny little Discord just for shenanigans, just for fun. We'll see, because we may need to have some other places for when eventually Zuck will probably nuke me. But I don't have the Elon Musk chip in my head yet, so I don't think so. I don't think they can just like turn me off like a repossessed car yet. But anyways, let's think about it. If you start a community on social media, who should profit from it? Should the social media company or you or the user? I mean, you put in all this groundwork. And then, for example, in Austin Digital Jobs, we have so many rules in that group. And by the way, every single rule has come from like somebody doing dumb shit. So, like, we have so many rules in that group. We have a flow chart. We're famous for our flow chart. That's how many rules there are. Now, a lot of other communities don't have those, so they're not as well run, etc. But even if you're on another social media platform building a community, you still have to kind of like create the culture, enforce the culture, build the culture, whatever. So you have acted as this attractant to the platform. So why shouldn't you benefit from it? What is a platform without its users? April asks, especially the big draw creatives and culture makers. So with all that infrastructure, maybe it should be Facebook or Reddit or whoever, because you didn't just show up and create something. You did it on somebody else's platform. You did it on somebody else's infrastructure and all of the tech that comes with it. I didn't have to do any lines of code at all to build Austin Digital Jobs, for example. So the question of who should benefit is a little tricky. Now, Facebook really doesn't care as long as like they're getting them little clickies so they can do the addies, and that's fine. But This little doohickey that's going down on Reddit is in Wall Street Bets. You're probably familiar with it. It's blowing up again because Reddit ousted the founder of Wall Street Bets, that subreddit. And so what the founder of Wall Street Bets did was sued um, back. So they're, like I said, the lawyers are like lining up. But here's how here's how April summarizes it. She said, summary for anyone not following from earlier is this. Man founded subreddit. Man moderated subreddit for 8 years. Man's community reaches 1 million, at which point he attempts to trademark Wall Street Bets. Reddit attempts to trademark the same 2 months later. Man is forcibly removed from Reddit as a user and from his subreddit as a moderator. Subreddit booms to 10 times the amount of users in 2 years. Man sues Reddit. So April says, quote, I'm just a simple city, April, with no head for the law, but at the time, Reddit's terms of service was this 2018 version. In September of 2020, the year the man was ousted, part of the changes to the TOS in Section 2 included going from this, I'm going to read it, quote, except as permitted through the services or as otherwise permitted by us in writing, your license does not include the right to license, sell, transfer, assign, distribute, host, or otherwise commercially exploit the services or content. They changed it during all this brouhaha to, quote, you will not license, sell, or transfer your account without prior written approval. What? So what tipped a lot of this off was Wall Street Bets wrote a book, and Reddit was like, you can't benefit from Reddit. This is an all volunteer army. And they're like, yeah, I can write about my experience and write a fucking book if I want to. And Reddit was like, no, we want that money. I guess. But it's brought up something really tricky in social media, which is if you're on somebody else's platform, you are at their mercy. And can they change the rules at any time? Yeah. And will they? Yeah. Is it going to benefit you? No. It will always lean towards them because you're on their turf. I'm not saying that this lawsuit is right, because it's not like I really think the original intent was to say you can't charge people to get into your subreddit. You can't charge for access. You can't benefit financially in that way. And I get that. But that is not what Wall Street Bets did. So I think Reddit is in the wrong here, but I think it's because they changed things. They changed the rules along the way, and I think that'll probably be what nails them. But I really did not like how that whole thing went down. I think they're all kind of jerks in this scenario, and they all seem to be like pounding their chest about it or whatever. But I don't know. But look, if you're going to be somewhere else, you're at their mercy. Just like we are on Facebook, Twitch, LinkedIn, Twitter. And the way things have gone lately, we all know there are just things you can't say. There are certain countries you shouldn't name. I learned that the other day that if you make a joke and you say a certain country that's way over there that we're about to be at war with, you can be in trouble just for saying the country's name. No context. I was only in trouble for like a couple minutes and I had to re-agree to the terms or whatever. But it's getting really wishy-washy out there and you don't know. I mean, remember somebody said silly goose and Facebook put them in timeout for 24 hours. So I think Reddit's kind of being a dick in this situation, but it is their platform. It's their rules. I think they're enforcing them incorrectly here, but that's that. Look, I know y'all are all jazzed up about talking about Jerome Powell and his dumb face, and you want to know if you're going to have money next week and into the future. So let's talk about that. Still drinking that hot tea because I'm complaining about COVID from a month ago. The long COVID's real, you guys. I don't know if any of y'all have had it yet this year, the Rona, but this whatever's going around is brutal. This was way worse this time than last time. But if you haven't had it, congrats. That's amazing. I hope you never do. Remember, if you're like, wow, this is so great, I want to like give you money. Sure, do it. Do the QR code thing or Venmo. That seems to be what everybody has. I don't know. The cool kids have. I'll leave that up there. But listen, we need to talk about money because listen up. Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell just spilled some tea that could rain on your parade. In his recent grilling before Congress, Powell reminded investors that he still sees inflation as a persistent, pernicious threat. Rates are going up. We know that. We've known that. But we're also in massive inflation territory. So what's going to happen? Excuse me. The hope is to avert a U.S. recession. When the Federal Reserve raises the rates, they're saying, hey, please stop. Y'all need to calm down. But we're Americans and we're bred to buy shit. So that's not going to happen. But they're looking to avert a full-on recession, which some of us say we're in recession territory. Others say we're not. Whatever. I'm not going to get into that. But we are. But they also want to rally stocks to fresh high records this year. And they might be in for a rude awakening. Stocks and bonds took notice of Jerome Powell's statements this week, and there was a huge sell-off amid surging short-term rates, leaving the major indices underwater for the week as of close. So listen, y'all, I'm not a bond trader. I'm not any of those. I don't even have a crypto. Just kidding. I think I do have, I probably have like 0.0003 of Ethereum in a wallet somewhere. But the U.S. 2-year Treasury note yield has surged 18 basis points to 5.06% since Monday's settlement. That's the highest level since 2007. And it deepened its inversion over the 10-year yield, reaching 108 basis points. So that's the highest since the 80s when Paul Volcker was the Fed chair, fighting a similar battle over price inflation. So what does all of this mean? Are we going to die of poorness tomorrow? Well, first of all, yes. But also the Fed might increase the pace of rate hikes, which they've been doing this like 0.25 every quarter. Like there's some like badasses. We know you're just going to do that over and over again until you can be like, oh, whew. And also, just as a side note, just as a little, does anybody want to know a secret about how I feel? How I feel is that Jerome Powell is supposed to be independent from the executive branch, and he is not behaving that way. He's acting politically repeatedly, and it is gross. I would feel that way about no matter who the president is. I have a lot of respect for the Federal Reserve. For those of you that don't know, I'll tell you really quickly before we talk about how poor we're all going to get soon. If you don't know this, I'm very cool because in high school, I competed in the Federal Reserve mock. It wasn't mock trials. It was mock Federal Reserve. And it was the first year it was at our school. And we had the same coach that was Model UN. It was the same coach. And y'all, she was hot all the time. She looked like a hippie and she was a hippie. And she would most definitely like, if we went on we were going for Model UN somewhere, she would pull the car over to the gas station, tell everybody to get snacks, the van, not the car. And she would always come back smelling of weed. And it was great. We just loved her. But we were all nerds. And so none of us smoked. And we were like, oh my gosh, she's smoking weed again, you guys. Anyway, she was the coach for Federal Reserve, which she had no business being the coach of that. She was great for Model UN, terrible for mock Federal Reserve. But we still did really well, and we had to go compete. And what we did was individually, not as a team, individually, we had to go before the actual reserve in San Antonio and suggest why we thought that next quarter should be raised, left alone, or lowered, what the Federal Reserve should do. So maybe all along, I'm thinking that was like slave labor. Maybe they're actually making their decisions based on like what high school kids say. Probably. But anyways, that was fun. So I do care about some of this stuff, have for a while, for a hot minute. I was the only one in my graduating class to make 100 in AP Economics because I'm fucking cool. Thank you. I ended up being an English major, so whatever. But anyways, we know that the rates are going to keep going up. Mortgage rates are already averaging around 7%. And a lot of people are freaking out like, oh, that's so, terrible. Well, we're also having a price correction in housing. So you're paying about kind of the same. If one's going down and one's going up, you end up kind of evening out. So it's not that big of a deal. And you can always refinance later. And plus, it's not like 40% like it was in the 1500s or whenever people did that. Anyways, listen. If you're wondering what a hawkish outcome is, let me break it down for you. It means that the Fed is going to start stamping out animal spirits, lifting short-term rates to restrict the creation of credit and choke off growth. They're trying to choke you guys. Jerome Powell is like putting his hands on your throat saying, hey, stop doing any spending. And we're like, but Jeff Bezos just said I could have an extra toy if I was good. Just kidding. He's still going to charge us. We can't have anything. We have to buy it. It is necessary for fighting inflation and keeping the economy from overheating, but it also means that borrowing conditions for the private sector will tighten. Mortgage rates will likely continue to rise slowly, though. We've seen that slow down, thank God. Corporate borrowing rates will go up. And that, my friends, increases the chances of credit markets freezing and, in general, accelerating a recession later on. So, before the Fed delivers relief in the form of any cuts, expect stocks to suffer from an earnings recession that, according to Alfonso Picatiello from the Macro Compass, isn't fully priced in. So, the reason this pertains to, excuse me, I'm burping because I had butter masala earlier. It was so good. But the reason this all matters is because there have been a lot of layoffs in tech, where I know a lot of you are in. And even though profits are at an all-time high, layoffs are going on to do the same thing that Jerome Powell is doing, of the like, the recession's coming, it's here, and like just cutting out any fat you can, right? So if this is their method going forward, if this is Jerome Powell's tact, and they're going to get more aggressive, which he has said 3 quarters in a row now, by the way, for anybody not paying attention, he keeps saying this and then keeps doing the same fucking thing over and over again. Which, can you imagine your job literally just being to be like, yeah, do the do the interest rates up a little bit. That's like his whole job. Like, that would be a dope job. That would be a good. I could do that job. Do y'all think I could do that job? I think I could do that job. Okay, look. He's also downplaying, which is why I'm a little annoyed with him. And Ben and I have been talking a lot about this week, of how frustrating it is that the Federal Reserve is not a political body. It is always somebody who's been appointed, and they usually survive through a couple different presidents. But he sees about a 10% maximum downside risk in the S&P 500, which is right around last year's lows. So we're probably going to lose some of the gains that we've made. But the bottom line is, things might get a little bumpy in the short term, but the stock market generally bottoms before earnings bottom before earnings bottoms. I'm very sorry I said that out loud with my mouth. Please, Ben, please don't fire me. But there's always a possibility of better stock valuations. So in general, the stock market is going to suffer a little bit. Inflation's not going anywhere, but really everybody freaked out this week because Jerome Powell again said that they're going to be more aggressive, but he keeps saying that and they keep not. So, I mean, how badly do they want to stop the bleeding? I can't tell. But listen, whether you love or hate Obama, everybody still loves saying, thanks, Obama. So let's just chalk this one up to having to say, thanks, Obama, because what a hell. What a hell indeed. Okay, listen, y'all. I don't know if anybody got any of that alcohol Mountain Dew yet. And Jose, I think you were trying to track some down. But if y'all can figure out how to get it like mailed, I think you can get alcohol mailed to you. Like, people do wine subscriptions. So why can't we do like a subscription to alcohol Mountain Dew? I would like for somebody to have hard Mountain Dew by next week. Yeah, that was you. Oh, they had it in Oklahoma? Maybe. I mean, we go there from time to time anyway. So if we go there, we'll buy everybody some and sneak it into a bash and be like, don't tell anyone. You can't drink it there. You can just take it home and drink it. But yeah, we'll do that. But listen, what did we talk about this week? You need to know what we talked about this week in case there is some kind of pop quiz later in the future, or if like we meet face to face and I ask you questions and you're like, I don't know anything. And I'll be like, dude, do you not watch AG Live? What's wrong with you? But you are all the best children, my favorite children, because you're here watching it and you're working on your brains. Your brain's getting swole. I like that about you. Listen, tonight we talked about the dum-dums over on TikTok saying that they should just start a business charging people for resume writing and just do it on the old Chat GPT. No, don't do that. We talked about disparagement clauses in severance packages now being gone. So they cannot be in there anymore. Don't put them in there and don't agree to them because they are no longer allowed. We talked about all sorts of cool patents and about how much Jeff Bezos loves you. We talked about Wall Street and Reddit suing each other, and really who's going to win out of all of that is the lawyers, let's be honest. But it does bring up the question of content creation outside of your own sphere and remembering the risks of that and that you can just be nuked at any minute. And then we talked about money and about how how we can't get no eggs and how our money ain't going to stretch real far. Yeah, I think this is going to be interesting because we're going to be able to tell the like whatever generation is after Gen Z, all of us are going to be like, we survived the plague and we couldn't get no damn eggs. So I don't want to hear about how you can't get no Wi-Fi or nothing, or about how your headset ain't comfy or whatever, like VR because we're going to be in the future. Get it? Because it's later. It's in the future. Legos are in the metaverse, dummies. So I think you guys will all pass the pop quiz if it comes our way, don't you think? Plus, I can see if you're on social media instead of on the embed on our website, I can see who all is tuning in. So I will pop quiz you all directly. Every single one of the 10 million of you watching right now. 10 million viewers tonight. We broke the 10 million. You didn't think it was possible, but it was 10 million viewers. We'll get there. We'll get there. Tell a friend. Hey, this is a good time to tell you to tell a friend. Please bring a friend to this Thursday show. And you know what? Next time I'll have a QR code built to get the reminders. But you can find that on theamericangenius.com/live or, big news, agnewslive.com. That goes straight to the stream of this and the replays of every single one so that you can watch every single one we've ever done. That would be weird if you just sat down and watched every single one, but I believe in you. I think you can do it. I think you have it in you. Plus, you'll be watching and you'll be like, I've already seen this one. And you can just watch that rerun. Yeah, I mean, look, Jetty failed once, and he's not even allowed within 50 feet of Austin. I took away his citizenship. That's a bummer. And it could happen to any of you guys. But listen, please tell a friend or coworker or somebody that you like about this show. Don't tell anyone you don't like because this is for people that are trying to get more wrinkle brains and get those, information brains all swole. But it's not for the dum-dums. This show's not good for dum-dums. But tell a friend. Sign up for the alerts because I can text you or email you before we get started every Thursday. And I'll give you a reminder earlier on in the week so that you're like, oh, yeah, I'm going to go get some hard Mountain Dew and go watch AG Live. It'll be fun. But y'all have been fun. I'm really proud of you. Everybody was pretty nice to each other. Nobody, some people said some weird stuff, mostly Jetty and Jose, but some people said some weird stuff. Some people said some really nice stuff. So if you said something nice, thank you. I'm glad you were here. The rest of you are questionable. So thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next Thursday over a nice warm glass of disgusting alcohol Mountain Dew, maybe. Why are you still here? I already started turning lights off and stuff. This is what I really look like. Now the lights are off. What is happening? Oh, I forgot.